My brothers and sisters, what a beautiful relation we have. Look, we are Muslimin. We are talking about our deen. We are talking of crises that are facing society today. The youth, leave your bad habits. You need really to be a good man so that you are able really to rear the champions of the ummah of tomorrow. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant that to us. And the same applies to the sisters. Sometimes we get caught up and hooked onto, Facebook and Twitter and this man and that man and using it wrongly. You see, it's like a knife. You can either use it in the correct way or you can use it in the wrong way. More so, people are using it in wrong. This is why if someone were to ask me, I would tell you I strongly discourage Facebook and Twitter and these social networks. Strongly discourage. You might say, well, why are you found there? Well, go and see how we use it. If you are using it in the same way, then perhaps you might want to revise that ruling. May Allah grant us goodness. But if you are using it to socialize, hello and how are you? I know of a case, and I'm going to say it bare, where there was a man who put a false image of someone else on his profile, and he lured a young girl who was in her teenage to the degree that he flew across the ocean to meet her in a certain country, and yet he was 65 years old, a man with a totally false identity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our sisters, our daughters and our sons as well. And this is why we say az-zina daynun. Zina is actually a credit. You have borrowed something, it is going to be recompensed within your family members. You need to remember this. And this is something that has been said by the scholars of aforetime. Engage in tawbah, you can stop that. That's the beauty. They say if you fiddled with someone's daughter, someone is fiddling with your daughter. Allahu Akbar. You better engage in tawbah so that nobody messes around with your children. Allahu Akbar. Remember this. Don't think that when you do something it does not have a reaction. Kama tadinu tudanu. As you do to others, so it shall be done to you. Unless you engage in tawbah and you ask Allah's forgiveness and you mend your ways and your habits. So remember this. Today we are facing a crisis in society because the man who is angry at what his daughter is trying to do is already himself involved with 3 other women illicitly. It's happening in society. And then we want to live happily ever after. It cannot work that way. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us, grant us goodness and open our doors. So as we were saying, the religion is important and the khuluq is important, character and conduct. Then what will happen, inshallah, we will support our children, we will live happily with them. We, inshallah, begin now. I will mention a few pointers of how it is that the marriage itself should be handled so that we can achieve the mercy of Allah. I tell you why. Marriage is not just a joke. It's not just a social sort of a thing that happened. No, it is a sacred union. And Allah has said, "Ij'aluha fi masajidikum." Keep it in your masjids. It is best for you to have it in the masjid, the house of Allah, because you are going to mention the name of Allah. There are several verses that will be read, and you will see those verses in a few moments. I will inshallah go through them. And it is important for us to know that the house of Allah is that which has the greatest blessing in it. So your nikah, firstly, don't delay it. Do not delay nikah unnecessarily. Once nikah is ready, the 2 parties are happy, get that nikah done. So that any relation that happens between them thereafter happens in a way that is permissible. Remember that. Sometimes people say, no, my daughter is engaged. Brother, 3 years later, your daughter, no, she's engaged. Brother, 3 years have passed. She had 2 abortions in the process. Do you know that? I'm not joking. I'm serious. My parents, you don't know what we know. They come to us for help when they cannot talk to you. I know. We cry when we see the children of the good people. Sometimes people we know, and they come to us, you know what, I have this problem and that problem. But sister, you are engaged to the man. How could this have happened? You know, my father told me you cannot marry now, you are still studying. My, Allahu Akbar. May Allah forgive us, really. Brothers and sisters, open your eyes. See what is going on. Ask the people what is happening. If you think we are not living in an era of hypersexuality, you are dreaming. You are dreaming. You are living in a dream world. We are living in the dirtiest society up to this age. There has never ever been a more hypersexual society than ours. Believe me, everything out there is about sex. And I'm saying this because I have to fulfill my duty as a scholar of Islam to explain to the people what is going on out there and how we are heading in the wrong direction because we are living with blinkers. We don't even know what's happening. Ask your children in the universities what's going on. If you have a good link with them, they will inform you. Ask them. Tell them what is happening, or ask what is happening in the malls or in the shopping centers or at the workplace. You know, you can be the best and the most pious. Yes, if Allah has granted you protection, you will always be protected. Allah grant us goodness. There are people amongst us, and I'd like to hope that the bulk of us seated here, pure, good people by the will of Allah, you know how difficult it is to remain on that path. You know how easy it is to sin. Today it is easier to sin than it is to abstain from it. Allahu Akbar. It is easier to abandon your hijab than it is to don it. It is easier to leave your salah than it is to fulfill it. That is because the environment has made it so difficult to engage in that which is correct. But my brothers and sisters, this is why I say do not delay nikah. It's not just my statement, it is a teaching that has come to us from the best of creation. Don't delay it. And at the same time, do not make it difficult in any way. We already spoke about the mahar, the dowry, or whatever else it is. Either way, don't be too demanding. And do not become a person who really makes it tough on their sons and daughters to get married, because in that particular case, we will be held accountable in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why is it that you as a parent did this to your own daughter? You doomed her, you punished her. And this is what you did to your son. You made him, you really made him leave the deen in totality. It brings me to one example, living example, where there was a young boy whose father was being so tough with him that, listen to this, he wanted to marry someone who was ready to revert. So his father told him, no, not over my dead body. What am I going to tell my friends and society, my brothers and my sisters, my this, my that? Brother, izzah is from Allah. Your status is from Allah. If you had embraced this, it was going to be much better. So you can explain to your friends and your family, look, you know, I tried my best, but today's society, you know, sometimes the children are doing their own thing and we have to try our best, saddidu wa qaribu, to make the most of what it is and to guide them as best as possible. And you know, we will see how best they can manage. But instead of that, this father chose to say, over my dead body. So what did the son do? He asked for help from some of the scholars and so on, and sometimes there is a limited amount of help you could actually offer, because if a man is being stubborn, you cannot really win. So after some time, he converted and left the fold of Islam and gone. Why? Because to him, the child was lost, and the father is still proud of his action. I don't mind if he became a non-Muslim, but at least nothing happened against my will. And he told his family members, you know, your